Hello, I'm Eric Snodgrass, and thank you for watching today's midday weather outlook for the southern region brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We start off first here with a satellite animation of those powerful storms that ripped through parts of the south central United States last night. Some of these storms producing very, very strong winds and also a lot of hail. We can see the indication of that hail by looking how cold the cloud tops are, because the deeper the thunderstorm becomes, the more supportive its updraft is of making very large hail. So when you see these really, really dark, intense reds, almost bordering on black and then gray, that tells me that the cloud tops are extremely cold and we have very strong convection in this area. So very stormy night last night, moving through parts of Texas. Now, just to show you what we've got over the last 72 hours. So this is only going over the last 3 days here. We can see that parts of our southern region have seen some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms. And of course, some of them have reached severe criteria. There's been some locally extremely heavy rainfall in parts of the Red River Valley getting over to southern Arkansas and into central Mississippi. And outside of that, it's been a whole lot of hit or miss thunderstorms. Now, as you come up over here along the East Coast, getting up toward the Carolinas, getting kind of the break in the action here, especially into North Carolina and parts of northern South Carolina is welcomed given how wet things were last week with that cutoff low. But big questions remain. Basically, how is this precipitation pattern going to transition as we finish June and begin July? And is there anything happening in the tropics that we need to be keeping a very close eye on? So we're going to look here first. This is the calculated soil moisture anomaly map that we've basically had since the beginning of June. So June 1st through the 21st here. And some good news that we will be seeing is that we've already started to see the amounts come down here, the deficits come down in this area. And with the precipitation I'm about to show you coming up this week, we're really going to work on getting rid of some of this longer term deficit in through parts of southern and eastern Texas, getting over to Louisiana. But we will see a few times drier conditions setting up over the southeast, which for pockets of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida have been very dry. So we're going to have to watch those same pockets again. And this upcoming forecast will depend heavily on the prevalence of possible higher atmospheric pressure in that area. So this morning, as we were watching the sunrise here on our satellite animations, we could see a couple of things. First, here is the complex of storms that went rolling through parts of Texas. Let me circle that in white so you can see it rolling through Texas. So that's what the sunlight looked like as it was hitting them this morning. And then, of course, you can see all of the really dry, dusty air that is extending in through this area. And I want to talk about that yet again. That's getting a lot of news coverage, of course, as of late. But let's just talk about how optically thick. That means how well the sunlight survives passing through this dust cloud. Let's just talk about how optically thick it is, because I don't remember seeing this much dust making it this far to the east. And you can see that by this end of this week and into the weekend, it's hit from Texas, maybe clear up to the northeast. And this dust will be a problem because it will be coming in with some rainfall. So you might end up getting, really what I call kind of dirty rain. And what I mean by that is when the rain starts to evaporate, you can see all of the dust left behind. So just understand that when you see that after a thunderstorm over the next several days, that the residue left on the cars and stuff like that, you can see, that residue comes from Saharan dust. That's several thousands of miles away. It's amazing how the atmosphere can transport that much moisture. But we do need to look at this because as we go through our next 7 days, the models have been pretty good in advertising a drier swath coming through the northern part of our southern region. So this is going to clip parts of the mid-south. So going over from Oklahoma, Kansas into Missouri, northern Arkansas, and then into like Tennessee into about through here. But we're going to watch carefully as a plume of moisture kind of works its way around what could be some higher atmospheric pressure at times sitting over the southeast. And that could give us this almost ring of fire like early precipitation pattern. When we compare it to normal, you can see that drier swath that I was talking about in through here, comparing things to normal over the next 7 days. So let's watch it all unfold here with our European model. We're going to start off early this morning. So this is the complex of thunderstorms in the overnight hours. And here is the low pressure system that swept through the Midwest of the United States and its associated front to the south. As we play this forward, it's going a little faster. Let's step you back. This is Tuesday evening, getting into the overnight hours. Now, across the whole of our southern region, from Texas all the way over to North Carolina, this area will be seeing almost daily chances of those pop-up storms. We are in a full summer thunderstorm regime, and I'll make a point at the end of this video to show you how I don't think anything's closed off the Gulf of Mexico. As we work our way into the day on Wednesday, so we can see that it'll be right along the Gulf Coast that we're going to watch for these thunderstorms to pop again. There's actually a boundary sitting in here. So this low way up here between Ontario and Quebec, well, right in through there, the frontal boundary lingers, and that's what's going to help initiate some of these storms, some of which could produce some locally heavy rain. Well, let's work our way into Thursday. and now into the overnight hours or afternoon and evening hours on Thursday. What I want you to notice is the pressure pattern at this point. So you can see that the flow lines, the isobars, which you can kind of think of as the flow, kind of coming around like this. And as I play this for you again, watch it all unfold. Well, as we work our way then into Friday, you see that higher atmospheric pressure may suppress some thunderstorm activity here, but do notice at the end of this week, another broad trough comes sweeping through the midsection of the United States, and its front sweeps down. Look at this. By the time we get into the weekend, it increases thunderstorm threat into this area once again. So this is why we see this area from eastern Texas into Oklahoma, into this area riding through here all the way over to like Mississippi, Alabama, seeing quite a few thunderstorms. It's going to be hit or miss to the east of there. So I'm talking about eastern Alabama all the way up to North Carolina. Now, as we move forward from here, getting into next week, there's a couple of very important things I want you to notice. I don't see at this particular stage, as we just kind of let this go on by, anything that shuts down the Gulf of Mexico moisture transport. And that's going to be key because the upper levels of the atmosphere are advertising this pattern by day 10. So you can see it sweeps into a trough here, a ridge that goes up toward the Aleutian Islands, and then a broad trough that comes into the western United States. Now, with the ridge that goes up over the Great Lakes like this, we would expect to see a lot of very, very warm temperatures. But you see this trough coming back in through here? Well, with this highly amplified pattern, much of our extreme heat is going to be extended, compared to normal at least, is going to be extended here toward the Great Lakes states. And we're going to continue to see a relatively unsettled pattern as we watch this all unfold here across our southern region. So look at this. This is day 4 through 10, which gets you out to July the 2nd. Now remember, at that time, we were seeing the heaviest precip kind of curl around what would be a little bit of higher atmospheric pressure in this area. It's not the subtropical high. It's just regionally in the short term higher atmospheric pressure, suppressing some precip. But as we go out to day 8 through 15, honestly, we don't call this a dry pattern. There will still be daily convective events that are happening over here. It's just still looking a little bit wetter when you go to Texas. And the reason why is if that trough sweeps in, the moisture transport comes in like this, and we're just going to see convection along our dry line here in Texas. So that will be kind of the mainstay of our precipitation patterns as we finish June and begin the month of July. Now, we've been talking a lot about the tropics, and I've been saying that the tropics in the upper levels are going to have a very conducive environment should any tropical system form. But with all the dust coming in, and then we noticed over the next week, this is high wind shear air moving into parts of the Caribbean, then into the Gulf, that would shut down any would-be tropical system. Where we have the lower wind shear air on this side of Central America, that's where we're anticipating some tropical development as we work our way out through the next 7 days. So we're kind of in the clear in this area in terms of tropical system development, which is a good thing to be able to talk about this early in the tropical season. So let's get over to temperatures before we stretch this out into the second week of July. Today's high temperatures compared to normal, this is a relatively cool day for much of the southern region as the west bakes. Now remember, the ridge is over in the west now with a broader trough here in the central United States. As we play this forward, we're going to see that cooler weather spread east, but then kind of go away by the time we get toward the end of the week. So you can see here by Friday, it's only the cloud cover associated with the rainfall that's going to keep us away from the triple-digit heat in southern Texas, but this is still a lot of upper 80s and lower 90s. The rest of our southern region seeing near average temperatures. As we work our way into the weekend, there's Saturday, and now into Sunday and Monday, we continue to see the near average temperatures in this area. But remember, we saw this was a time period over which we were expecting to see a lot of cloud cover and thunderstorms. This is the point then when the deep trough comes in west. See how cool it is there? And the ridge builds up into Alaska. Or excuse me, not Alaska, the Great Lakes states in Ontario and Quebec, all right? So what's going on here? Well, I'll tell you why I'm thinking about Alaska, all right? We are watching a big change in the pattern over Alaska, and across much of North America, we have to discuss what that pattern change means. So I'm starting to think about my long-range update tomorrow, and Alaska's pattern is going to be critical for that because they're going to see a pretty big swing in their temperature patterns, and it's going to be important for us. I'll show you the influence of that in just a few seconds. But notice near average temperatures here as we work our way into next Monday. Okay, what about the 6 to 10 day forecast? Well, here comes the deeper trough. See, here's the change I was telling you about for Alaska, all right? That deeper trough west, heat's going north, but we're going to be seeing above average temperatures, but pretty darn close to normal across our southern region, both in the European and the GFS. And they're both seeing the same kind of features setting up here in the day 11 through 15 as well. So a lot of daily convective activity. It's full-on summer thunderstorm regime, and the good news is, as far as I can see into July, the subtropical high, it is way over there. So if that happens, we keep getting flow. And in fact, this is low pressure anomalies here for the 5th of July, which means there's nothing here that's permanent, a big giant high pressure cell that shuts everything down and sends us into early summer drought. So that's a very good thing to be talking about. And the result of all of it is this. So if you look out here from the 7th through the 13th, the newest ECMWF runs do keep a lot of our southern region on the warm side over here, but also on the stormy side. So at least we are not seeing any indicators of early onset drought. And that's going to be one of the things I talk about in tomorrow's long range update, is if we do see drought development in the near future and what could possibly cause it. So have a great rest of your day. I look forward to talking again tomorrow. And until then, enjoy it. Okay. Thank you so much.